Anyways,
Recording in progress.
hey guys, what's going on? Counterspell Hater here, back with another EDH guide. Today we're looking at the other pre-con upgrades unleashed. Well, at least its commander, Chishiro, the Shattered Blade. For 2 generic, a red and a green, he is a legendary snake samurai. 4/4. Whenever an aura or equipment enters the battlefield under your control, you create a 2/2 red spirit creature token with menace. At the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on each modified creature you control. So, modified creatures are creatures with equipment, auras, equipment and/or auras attached to them, or +1/+1 counters on them. Yeah, those are modified creatures. So obviously going to be playing a lot of auras, and then we've got like stuff to synergize with it. So mostly equipment. If you want to see me build auras, then let me know down in the comments. As long as you're the first one to say so. Or you can suggest a totally different commander, or as long as I can find it, be the first one to comment. Also, I like to comment anyways. I guess something to say before we get too far into this video. If I do not get a comment regarding like what you guys want to see next, I'll just go on about like whatever. So in case that encourages you to comment, well, now you have been encouraged. Because you may have felt I wasn't listening to you in some sort of way or reason. Anyways, moving on. Splinter Twin. First card that is in the commander. For 2 generic and double red, it's an enchantment aura. Enchanted creature has tap, put a token that's a copy of this creature onto the battlefield. That token has haste. Exile at the beginning of the next end step. Rancor. For singular green, it's an enchantment aura. Enchanted creature. Enchanted creature gets +2/+0 and has trample, and when Rancor is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you return it to its owner's hand. Anyways, now it's an equipment, sort of vengeance for 3 generic. It's an equipment artifact. A quick creature gets +2/+0 and has first strike, vigilance, trample, and haste. So really utilizing some of those counters. A quick cost of 3. Bloodforged Battle Axe for 1 generic. It's an equipment. A quick creature gets +2/+0, and whenever a quick creature deals combat damage to a player, create a token that's a copy of Bloodforged Battle Axe. The quick cost of 2. Sword of Feast and Famine for 3 generic. It's an equipment that gives a quick creature +2/+2 and protection from black and from green, meaning black and green creatures cannot block this. Black and green auras cannot target this creature. Black and green abilities cannot target this creature. Black and green instants and sorceries, or like spells, can target this creature. None of that can target this creature or block it, or deal damage to it, or whatever. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to a player, that player discards a card and you untap all lands you control. A quick cost of 2. Dragon Throne of Tarkir for 4 generic. It's a legendary equipment that gives the quick creature defender and for 2 generic, tap of the creatures you control, gain trample and +X/+X until in turn, where X is this creature's power. Quick cost of 3. Shadow Spear for 1 generic. It's a legendary equipment that gives the creature +1/+1 trample and lifelink. And then for 1 generic, you can take away Hexproof and Indestructible away from your opponent's permanents. Your quick cost of 2. A quarter shield for 0. It's an equipment that gives the equipped creature +0/+3 and vigilance. A quick cost of 3 generic. Sword of the Animus for 2 generic. It's a legendary equipment that gives the equipped creature +1/+1, and whenever the equipped creature attacks, you may search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield, tapped, then shuffle the library. Your quick cost of 2. Sanctuary Blade for 2 generic. It's an equipment that, when it becomes attached to a creature, you choose the color, and then the equipped creature gets +2/+0 and protection from the last chosen color. quick cost of 3 generic. Dark Steel Plate for 3 generic. It's an equipment that is indestructible and gives the equipped creature indestructible and equipped cost of 2 generic. Hammer of Mizan for 4 generic. It's a legendary equipment that when it or another equipment enters battlefield under control, you may attach that equipment to target creature you control. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and indestructible. Equipped cost of 4 generic. Excuse me. Batter Skull for 5 generic. It's an equipment with living weapon, meaning that when it enters battlefield, you create a 0/0 black germ creature token, and then you attach this equipment to that token. So creature gets +4/+4 and has vigilance and lifelink. Then for 3 generic, you can return Batter Skull to its owner's hand, meaning you can have it enter in again, and because of living weapon, you won't have it to pay the equip cost of 5 to equip it to a creature. Henon Blade for 3 generic. It's an equipment that gives the equipped creature +1/+1 for each creature you control. Equip cost of 4 generic. Basilisk Collar for 1 generic. It's an equipment that gives the equipped creature Death Touch and Lifelink. Equip cost of 2. Scythe of the Wretched for 2 generic. Excuse me. It's an equipment that gives the equipped creature +2/+2, and whenever the equipped creature deals damage, whenever a creature dealt damage by the equipped creature this turn dies or is put into a graveyard. So whenever a non-token creature dealt damage by the equipped creature dies this turn, you return that card to the battlefield under your control, and then you attach Scythe of the Wretched to that creature. The Wretched, excuse me. Equip cost of 4. Cauldra Complete for 7 generic. It's a legendary equipment, living weapon, and indestructible. The equipped creature gets +5/+5, first strike, trample, indestructible, haste, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a creature, exile that creature. Equip cost of 7. Nettlegeist for 3 generic. It's an equipment with living weapon, and the equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control, not creature. Artifact and or enchantment you control. Equip cost of 2. Scythe Claw for 5 generic. It's an equipment with living weapon that gives the equipped creature +1/+1, and whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player, that player loses half his or her life, rounded up. Equip cost of 3 generic. Better Bone for 2 generic. It's an equipment with living weapon, and it gives the equipped creature +1/+1 and vigilance and lifelink. Equip cost of 5 generic. Excuse me. Golem Skin Gauntlets for 1 generic. It's an equipment that gives the equipped creature +1/+0 for each equipment attached to it. Equip cost of 2 generic. Ember Cleave, one of the most broken equipments in the game. Go watch out MTG Arena content. And go watch mine, even though it doesn't have Ember Cleave in it. It's so awesome. You should watch it. You are entitled to. For 4 generic and double red, Ember Cleave is a legendary equipment with flash, meaning it can be played at any time. And it costs 1 generic less to cast for each attacking creature you control. And when it enters battle, you attach it to target creature you control. And then the equipped creature gets +1/+1, double strike, and trample. Equip cost of 3. So pretty nice since you're attacking with a lot of samurai with menace. So attach this to one of those creatures, and suddenly it's a quite very hard to block 3/3 with menace, double strike, and trample. Trailblazer's Boots for 2 generic. I kind of thought about this and said, you know what, that's kind of genius because equipment. It's an equipment that gives the equipped creature non-basic land block, meaning it's unblockable as long as the defending player controls a non-basic land. And with how many non-basic lands there are now being introduced to Commander, this could be. I could see this like seeing a rise in play. You know, like Cabal Coffers, Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth, Gaia's Cradle, you name it. Any non-basic land your opponents are playing, well, that means they can't block the equipped creature that has trail-based lasers boots attached to it. Your crew costs 2, so something to think about. Comment down how you feel about that. Shield of the Avatar. 1 generic. It's an equipment that states if a source would deal damage to a creature, prevent X of that damage, or X is the number of creatures you control. Equip cost of 2. Cathar's Shield. For 0, it's an equipment that gives the equipped creature plus O plus 3 and vigilance, and equip cost of 3 generic. Conqueror's Flail. For 2 generic, it's an equipment that gives the equipped creature +1/+1 for each color among opponents you control, and as long as it's attached to a creature, your opponent can't cast spells during your turn, meaning they could be quite very vulnerable, especially blue players. Counterspell hater. So this should kind of be one of my cards. Equip cost of 2. Death Render. For 4 generic, it's an equipment that gives the equipped creature +2/+2, and whenever a creature is whenever a non-token equipped creature dies, because tokens wouldn't be put into a graveyard, you may reanimate a creature. Well, you may put it from your graveyard into your hand. You may put a creature from your graveyard. Oh no, you may reanimate a creature. Sorry. And attach Death Render to it, so return it from your graveyard to the battlefield. Your current cost of 2 generic. That'll just be well used for like return to the battlefield from your graveyard instead of just reanimate. Nim Death Mantle. For 2 generic, it's an equipment that gives the equipped creature +2/+2, intimidate, and the black color and the zombie subtype. And whenever a non-token creature is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, may pay 4 generic. If you do, return that, reanimate, and then attach Nim Death Mantle to it. Reanimate that card, and then equip cost of 4, and attach the Nim Death Mantle. Blade of Cells. For 2 generic, it's an equipment that gives the equipped creature myriad, meaning that whenever that creature attacks, for each opponent other than defending player may put a token that's a copy of that creature onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking that player or a planeswalker he or she controls. Then you exile the tokens at the end of the combat. Equip cost of 4. Bearded Axe. For 2 generic and a red. It's an equipment that gives the equipped creature +1/+1 for each dwarf, equipment, and or vehicle you control. Equip cost of 2 generic. Burning Anger. For 4 generic and a red. It's an aura. Enchanted creature has tapped. This creature deals damage equal to its power to target creature or player. Volcanic Strength. For 1 generic and a red. It's an aura that gives the enchanted creature +2/+2 and mountain lock, meaning that it's unblockable as long as the playing player controls the mountain. Thunderous Might. For 1 generic and a red. It's an aura that gives the creature +X/+0 until in a turn where X is your devotion to red when it attacks. And each red mana symbol and the mana cost of turn to control counts towards your devotion to red. Runes of the Deweys? I have no idea. For 4 generic and a singular hybrid red-green, it's an aura that gives the enchanted creature +1/+1 and double strike as long as it's red. Excuse me, I cannot words there. As long as enchanted creature is green, it also gets +1/+1 and trample. So probably attaching this to your commander or a multicolored creature. Eldrazi Conscription. For 8 generic, it's a tribal enchantment Eldrazi aura. The enchanted creature gets +10/+10 trample and Annihilator 2. Jeez, I cannot speak today. Whenever that creature attacks, the one with Annihilator 2, defending player sacrifices 2 permanents. Bear Umbra. For 2 generic and double green, it's an aura that gives the enchanted creature +2/+2, and whenever this creature attacks, Untap all lands you control, and then there's Totem Armor. If an enchanted creature will be destroyed, instead of remove all damage from it and destroy this aura. Elemental Mastery for 2 generic and a red. It's an aura that gives the enchanted creature the ability to tap and create X 1/1 red elemental creature tokens with haste, where X is that creature's power, and then they are exiled at the end of turn. Ancestral Mask for 2 generic and a green. It's an aura that gives the enchanted creature +2/+2 for each other enchantment on the battlefield. Elemental Resonance for 2 generic and double green. It's an aura that adds an amount of mana equal to the enchanted permanent's mana cost to mana pool enchant permanents at the beginning of your pre-combat phase. Pre-combat main phase, that's when that happens. And then we've got Synergies, starting off with Warstorm Surge for 4 generic, 5 generic, and a red, excuse me. It's an enchantment that states whenever a creature enters the battlefield under control, it deals damage equal to its power to any target. Volduke, Keeper of the Flame for 2 generic and a red. He is a legendary human shaman, 3/2. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, for each aura and equipment attached to him, you create a 3/1 red elemental creature token with trample and haste, and then those tokens are exiled at the beginning of the next step. Darksteel Forge for 9 generic. It's an artifact that gives all other artifacts you control indestructible. Iridescent Horn Beetle for 4 generic and a green. I was about to say red. Insect 3/4. At the beginning of your end step, create a 1/1 green insect creature token. Which possible to counter you put on creatures under your control this turn. If you haven't seen that thing in action, go watch some of my MTG Arena content. And leave a like while you're at it and subscribe. That'd be very appreciated. Only 4 away from 20, guys. Impact Tremors for 1 generic and a red. It's an enchantment that states whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, then this enchantment deals 1 damage to each opponent. That's not exactly what it says, but pretty close. Alana and Alina, partners. Go watch the video that I did on this, please. That'd be very appreciated. For 2 generic, a red and a green. They are both legendary human rangers with first strike and reach, 2/3. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put X ++ counters on another target creature you control. For X is Alana and Alina's power. That creature gains haste until end of turn. Doubling Season, you know the deal for 4 generic and green. It's an enchantment that doubles the number of tokens that would be created if an effect would create them under our control, and doubles the number of counters put onto our permanents if an effect would put a number of counters on our permanents. Then we have Kodama of the West Tree, the new one for 2 generic and a green. It's a legendary spirit with reach, 3/3. Modified creatures you control at trample. So I'll remind you again, modified creatures are creatures with ++ counters on them, auras attached to them, or equipment attached to them. And whenever a modified creature you control deals combat damage to a player, search your library for a basic land card, put it onto battlefield tags, and shuffle. Kodama of the East Tree, the opposite direction, for 4 generic and double green. It's a much better commander, I'll say. But still, the new one is still pretty good. Legendary Spirit with reach, 6/6. Partner, doesn't matter. Whenever another permanent enters battlefield under your control, if it wasn't put on the battlefield with this ability, may put a permanent card with equal or lesser CMC converted mana cost from your hand onto the battlefield. So if you play a land from your hand, then you can play something that has a converted mana cost of 0. So like another land or Cathar's Shield. Or in another case, Tago, our last guy here, Tago Goblin Weaponsmith. The tokens he creates are permanents. For 2 generic and a red, he is a legendary Goblin Artificer, 2/2. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, you create a colorless equipment artifact token named Rock with a quick creature has 1 generic tap, sacrifice rock. This creature deals 2 damage to any target and a quick cost of 1. Anyways, so what happens here is when you play a land from your hand, first of all, go down that triggers off, and then toggle triggers off. So you play another. So you play like, I guess, to make this example far more simple, you play like Cathar's Shield from your hand. But then for toggle Goblin Weaponsmith, you can, since the equipment is a token, you can create, you can, and tokens have a mana cost of 0. Geez, I cannot speak. You can put another land from your hand onto the battlefield, and then create another token. You get the idea. These two synergize very well. Anyways, onto lands. Spine Rock Knoll, you know the deal. Hideaway. Land enters tapped. When it does, you look at the top 4, exile 1 of them face down, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Jeez. Tap to add a red. For red, you can tap it, and you may play the exile card without paying its mana cost. If an opponent was dealt 7 or more damage this turn, Mosswort Bridge, land, hideaway, you know the deal. Test for green, or for green, you can tap. You may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost. If creatures you control have total power 10 or greater, most likely will, due to our commander putting ++ counters on all of our creatures. Myriad, and also being suited up. Myriad Landscape, you know the deal with this. I've explained it plenty, but I guess I'll explain it again. It's a land that enters tap, can tap for a color, for 2 generic, it can tap, crack itself, sacrifice. I'll use that term too. And then use tutor for 2 lands. So search your library. So I'm gonna become lazy now. Not to discourage you guys. Tutor up to 2 basic land cards that share a land type. Put them onto battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library. Blighted Woodland. It's a land that doesn't come in tap. Can tap for a colorless. For 3 generic and green, it can tap, crack itself, tutor for up to 2 basic land cards. Put them onto battlefield tapped under your control, and then shuffle your library. Flying Glaciers. It's a land that enters in tapped. For 1 generic, you can tap, and you search your library for a basic, tutor for a basic land card. Put the card onto battlefield tapped, and shuffle your library. And then you return Flying Glaciers to its owner's hand beginning in the next end step, or cleanup step back in the day. Raging Ravine. It's a land that enters tapped, or it can, and then when it's untapped, you can tap for red and green, or for 2 generic and a red and a green, it can become a creature until in turn. A 3/3 red and green elements of creature with, when this creature attacks, put a ++ counter on it. It's still land. Great creature, because before it goes back to being a land, our commander Chishiro, hold on. Chishiro, the Shattered Blade will be putting counters on it since it'll be a modified creature. And then, well, you know, you have your basic lands. To be specific, 22 forest, basic forest, and 22 basic mountains. And with that, the end of this commander guide starring Chishiro, the Shattered Blade, from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty, the commander become. This has been my version. I didn't include the secondary commander, Kamiya, I think it is, Shattered Calm, because it kind of didn't really work with how I think later and how I was building this. But if you wanted to see that, I can. If you want to see how I build the secondary commander of this deck, of this precon, and let me know by being the first one to comment on this video. Or you can tell me like you want to see a totally different commander, like one of the other dragons from Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. I think they're all out. So they're all available for search. Or if you want to see a custom commander, as long as I can find it. Anyways, so just be the first one to do that, and then comment. And then as you're commenting, type in the commander you want to see. Anyways, and also while you're at it, on the video, leave a like. Go watch all my other videos. Please subscribe. We're only 4 away from 20 guys. Kind of gives me hope for the 16 who are still subscribed and have been subscribed, and those who have been subscribed from the beginning. I know I sound redundant, but thank you for supporting me. Really love that. I like feedback, so don't be discouraged to comment anyways. Share this video along with other videos you may or may not seen with others that you may or may not know of. And hit the notification bell, that way you don't miss another video or any more of this content. Go watch my other videos. I think I already said that. Anyways, bye-bye.